She looks so beautiful.
Oh, thank you, Michael Ball.
With our beautiful
welcome everybody.
Apron.
In our lovely hemp aprons.
Apron.
Yeah. Welcome to the beautiful hills of Nimbin. We're going to do a cooking class for you now, because what I've always said is just keep it simple. You know, this stuff is medicine. It's medicine because it does make you stoned, which relaxes you. Alcohol relaxes you. The codeine relaxes you. Cannabis relaxes you. So for me, in my family, what they've needed, you know, my grandmother, it's cookie love. You know, we've been selling it, trading it, speaking the law on the streets of Nimbin here for 2 decades now, and it's because we love it. You know, we didn't just decide that we're going to be alternative and we're going to make alternative mean money. You know, it meant like giving this medicinal law to everybody, because it is a plant that was given to us. If we change the law, and even if we don't, you have it in the capacity to plant a seed in your own backyard, nurture that seed, and have medicine from your little children who've bruised themselves, rub that cream into it, you know, heat activate it, and while you're doing that, you're not racing off to a pharmacy to buy something. You're not having to go to a job to buy something from that pharmacy. You know, pharmacies don't even need to exist. You know, we do have what we need from our beautiful planet. So I've been making ganja cookies for about 12 years now. I've written a book about it because I believe that people need to just, you know, come from their heart, and what it means to be alternative, to me, is to come to this beautiful region that exists only here that I've found on the planet, and I've been to a few places around the world, and they all smoke hashish, and they all smoke cannabis. It all happens everywhere. It's been happening in our culture since I recognised a joint at 16 at a party and said, I want to be with that crew over there. I don't want to be with those drunken idiots there. My choice. But it never got backed up by a choice on a reasonable argument by our government, which has made me a criminal. It's made me separate from my family, because even my father, baby boomer, God love him for the time and energy he put into this country, but it was for, if you look at it deeply, it was for their self-needs, and it's for a consumer world which doesn't help our planet. And if you teach that to our children, and you teach it to every Indian and every Chinese, and everyone just wants this lifestyle of fulfilling their own need, we don't have a planet left. It's simple, 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 whatever. The simplest equation I can see. And it breaks my heart that we keep telling our youth to keep chasing after technology and Facebook and Twitter, and we make all of this realm such a reality to them that they haven't walked outside in the rain. They haven't seen the moon. They don't know what the moon cycle is or how it even affects them. You know, this is purest hippie talk, because to me all the other stuff broke my heart, really. It was all false, and I saw it from such a young child, and I believed everyone around me, so I competed like everybody else, and I lost friends. And yeah, you move and nothing, there's no community. There was never a new place that I moved to that my children can play with someone else's children. You know, that's the world we created out there in Australia. But I know that the heart is pure here. And we're only 200 years old, the white culture, built on top of a 50,000, 60,000 year old culture. And I believe the two of those together are a mighty, mighty thing. Like Wollumban here, the biggest ever volcano on our planet. I mean, we can see the caldera. This is what we're in here, this huge magic caldera of this volcano. Now, if you can imagine what that looked like before it exploded, you know, we're sitting underneath it, underneath something magical and big, and, you know, they say Ayers Rock has energy. You know, these places around the world, they do have this energy. You know, it's very hard for us from a technological advanced world to tap into it sometimes, because it takes a commitment to the quiet and to the quiet inside. And if you haven't tapped into that, fairly regularly, it's a very frightening place. Who are you when you're asleep? Who are you between your in-breath and your out-breath? Because this planet needs you to tune into this. And I believe that it's because I've smoked marijuana since I was 17 years old that she has kept me rooted in this truth. Despite being a suburban girl, city girl, I was with a business family. We moved interstate every 3 years. I went to about 16 different schools. I've seen Australia, every part of it. I've called myself a South Australian. I've called myself a Victorian. I've called myself a Queenslander. You know, it's all the same. We're all people trying to do the best. And that little dream of a house and a yard, where did that go? And that's our politicians' fault. So I want the politicians and their wives and their families and their mothers and their fathers, where are they? They're in nursing homes, in front of TVs, on drugs from pharmaceutical companies, and they're not happy. They got shoved aside. They're our pioneers. My grandmother, she's 92, she is sitting in one of those homes now.
I live with her.
Yeah. Our youth are in daycare centres. Where are they learning about Australian culture? Why would they love the big open space? They only see it this size. And it needs electricity. They don't care where that came from. So I'm back to basics. I came here, I got a house, an old 100-year-old house, I pulled it apart and I built it piece by piece. Separated myself from family, culture, the whole lot, just on a mountain range over there. I have solar power and I drink my own rainwater. And I believe in ganja because it's kept me sane, it's kept me away from needing pharmaceuticals. Probably did need a few happy pills along the way because it's been a depressing journey watching Australia go downhill for 2 decades. It's been a very depressing journey. Now I go out of this culture, I travel overseas, and they say, wow, you're so lucky to come from here. And I say, yes, it's a damn shame that we don't know it here, that we want so much, and we want a Bali holiday, and we want a new car. And why? Because then we look like good people. Smoke ganja, eat cookies, and start feeling with your heart, and you'll start to know what resonates real with you. You know, that's my challenge. It's my challenge to everybody. You know, why, they say, does it cause paranoia? I call paranoia self-awareness. And I say that anyone with a little bit of paranoia is very uncomfortable with that self. Doesn't quite know who that self might be. So let's just add a bit of alcohol and we'll just all go, rah! And we'll go home the next day and we won't feel any closer to anybody. We won't have had any meaningful conversations. And there'll be no love in your life. And your grandparents will be in homes. And you'll be in homes. Unless we change. And I think that's what's happening in Australia now. We're changing. And from a hippie hiding in the hills, I never cared about, you know, what the Joneses were doing next door, what shoes. Everything I own is from an op shop. Proudly. Because the need is just a sickness. It's one of the 7 deadly sins. Greed, need. If you go to any holy person, if you take your need, your terrible need to have everything, a superannuation fund, your life insurance, this insurance, that insurance. If you didn't plug into all of that and you went outside with your family every weekend for 2 full days, in the sun or in the rain, and you learned who your children were and who your father actually was, and you learned about the history, and you knew then what to fight for.